schools are learning disabled. Unfortunately, not all teachers are willing to accommodate the special needs of these students. Hello, I'm Joe Coughlin. Welcome to DNET, the Disability Network. Today we have a special report on a disability many people say doesn't exist, learning disability. But it does. Learning disability is a complex group of disorders that is caused by dysfunction of the central nervous system. This results in inaccurate information being received through the senses, much like a bad telephone connection or a fuzzy photograph. An excellent visual presentation of what it is like to have a learning disability was used in a video titled "We Know We Can," produced for the Learning Disabilities Association of Ontario.
Nobody is quite sure what causes a learning disability, but what seems to happen is that some of the brain's many messages get crossed up, and simple tasks can be difficult or impossible, frustrating and humiliating. There are many forms a learning disability can take, and often a learning disabled person can have more than one disability at once. To give you an idea of what happens to a person with a learning disability, so you can better understand what they have to deal with, here are a few examples. The word school. To a non-disabled person, it would look like this, and we would identify the word quickly. But to a learning disabled person, it might look like this, or this, or this, changing while the person is looking at it, making identification or reading very difficult. This simple sentence, so easy to read for a non-disabled person, might look like this to a learning disabled person. Or like this. A simple set of oral instructions.
Make your bed, brush your teeth, and come downstairs to have your breakfast.
Might sound like this to a learning disabled person.
Brush your bed, make your teeth, and come downstairs to have your breakfast.
We are now going to meet 5 people who are learning disabled. All 5 are students at Seneca Community College. The interviews were conducted by Lisa Erst, a member of the DNET staff. The Newnham campus of Seneca Community College is a sprawling complex of buildings on the northern fringe of metropolitan Toronto. With an enrollment of 10,000 full-time and 90,000 part-time students, it is the largest post-secondary community college in Canada. High school graduates, as well as men and women returning to school as mature students, are offered a wide variety of courses. Among other things, they can learn how to design and make dresses. They can acquire the skills needed to run a business.
How much are we going to pay Dora?
When they are not taking classes or doing homework, students, along with staff, can take advantage of the school's magnificently equipped exercise rooms, shedding pounds and stress. We have come to Seneca to talk with students and staff about learning disability, because we were told that not all the teachers are willing to accommodate the needs of people with learning disabilities. One reason for this attitude is obvious. You can't see the disability. Another reason is that many learning disabled people, such as Catherine Rutledge, are bright and articulate, and when given the proper help, do well at school. Catherine is dyslexic. She reads words backwards, but she is doing very well at Seneca, unlike her experience with a teacher in grade 8.
Grade 8 was probably not the best year for my grade schooling. That teacher had a very high standard. Everything had to be perfect. I think it was about 2 months into the term, the teacher told me that I wasn't going to pass the class and that I probably wouldn't get anywhere in life and that I should look into going into vocational school now. I think it was just either learning disability scared him or he just didn't want someone in his class that would bring the average down.
Marius Frederick is taking a business course. His disability involves eye-hand coordination and information retention. A mature student, he returned to school after losing a steady job with Canada Post because, he says, it would not accommodate his disability.
No, they didn't. And even after my doctor sent me for tests at a Toronto hospital, and I found out that I had a learning disability, they did not even, they found, and I brought it to their attention, they did not. They had their mind set on just getting rid of me.
What did they say when you handed them the letter from the hospital saying you had a learning disability? What was their attitude?
Their attitude, well, just you can't do the work, so, let's see, how we can get rid of this guy.
And she's got money, but she's not likely to want to go water skiing, but she knows how to swim.
Michael Nissenthal has difficulty focusing his thoughts. He also has trouble getting organized. A fan of Donald Trump and a partner in a part-time car washing business, he is working towards a business diploma. So far, Michael has had only one bad experience with a teacher at Seneca.
I had a hard time with a teacher last semester. I needed some extra help, some remedial, and I went in a couple times to speak with him, and he helped me out a little bit, but not that much. He wasn't too very helpful. He didn't want to help me out. He just wanted to do his job at work and go home.
Judy Finmore is a mature student. Working part-time at a local public school kindergarten is part of Seneca's early childhood education program. She did not learn to speak until she was 6 years old and still has great trouble both reading and writing. Her ambition is to help children as a professional teacher.
Especially helping special needs children, people with either behavior problems or children with special needs that have a learning difficulty. Because I had one, it's turned out to be that I'm able to help those children.
What do you like about working with children?
I love them.
Well, we don't know what happens further down, but...
I sit in a class, an empty class, with no windows or doors. A large clock that is ticking away shows the deadline of my life. I sit at a desk that is in the middle of the room. There I sit, looking at a piece of paper with questions that I do not understand. Even though I know the answers, I cannot write or speak them, because every time I speak, another language comes out. I look at my hands to see how old I am getting. The sheet is still sitting there with unreadable words. As I feel a tear going down my cheek, I ask, will anyone understand? I made that story when I was in grade 12, and I remember it vaguely. I had a teacher for accounting, OAC, and this is the highest you can get, and I was doing terrible in that course. I was working, and I was trying to get this test, to get like at least a B, and I turned out with a 38%, and I was mad. I was frustrated. As I said, I was frustrated before, and what I did was I sat down instead of thinking of what I did wrong. I thought I'd write down my feelings. I gave it to my parents, and my parents looked at it and they said, Mark, did you write this? I said, yeah, I wrote this, not thinking much about it. I thought what they usually do is they usually put it down and put spelling mistakes and all this, and that usually makes me more frustrated. But they looked at it this time and they said, Mark, this is good.
Coming up next, how to cope with a learning disability.
All right, passing on to DJ Trinity. See you all next week. Same time, same place.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Who take initiative now and responsibility and go out there and are ready to meet the world. And that's really exciting for me.
Do you give them a nudge of encouragement or a push? What do you give them?
Sometimes it's a push. Sometimes I get angry with them because it's something that's obvious to me, and it seems like an easy step for me, and I have to take myself back and say it's not an easy step for them, and we have to work through it and go more gradually.
Coping with school for learning disabled students means taking and being given extra time to do their work. Catherine Rutledge says students like herself need teachers who take time to explain a particular problem or exercise.
Just have a teacher stand at a board and say, okay, this is what you do this, this, and this, now do it. Say for math, I have to know everything. I have to know why we're doing this. I just can't be told, this is what you do it. It has to be explained why. In English and things, it takes me a little longer to read things than most people.
Michael Nissenthal has learned to seek out extra help wherever he can find it. He keeps telling himself, don't get discouraged, get organized, you can do it.
I motivate myself. I try really hard to do my work. I get all my work done. I've always wanted to continue on after high school, and now I'm doing something that I want to do and taking courses that I want, and I'm not taking anything that the school tells me to take. I'm happy with that. You have to do the work. Whether you want to do it or not, whether you're motivated or not, the work's got to get done. So I tell myself that I have to do it, and I will go and do it.
So you're focusing on your learning disability.
That's right.
Electricity, rent.
Okay, let's make a list of some of those.
Marius Frederick didn't know he had a learning disability until he ran into trouble at Canada Post. He now works evenings as an assistant theater manager, is married, and has a young child. He finds coping with his disability at Seneca a continuing struggle.
It's sort of like you're swimming and you're not drowning, but you're almost drowning. But then you have little steps that you win some and you lose some. I'm doing very, very well. Not as well as I would like to do, but I'm not failing any subjects. And it's coming. It's very, very slow, very hard, but my marks are coming up.
So the first thing we need to do.
What would you tell people who've been away from school for a number of years, like yourself, and who have a learning disability and are discouraged about going back to school?
Even though they have a learning disability, make sure that they know that it's not something that will keep their hands tied, and it's not something that will bring them down. Try to improve on it, and you know your weaknesses at that point, so you've got half the battle won, so just keep fighting.
You're taking computers.
Yes.
To me, I wouldn't think someone who has a learning disability would take to computers. Why do you like?
Why would you think that? Well, computers to me is really a breakthrough. Before I went into accounting, and that was theories, and as I said before, the teacher would expect you to do this and ask for lots of memory work too. You have to go back in your books and then look over. Well, with computers, I had hands-on usage of it. You know, touching the keys, working with the programs, trial and error. That helps me out a lot, because if I go through lots of errors on a program and finally get it right, I can memorize that and I can make a lot of sense out of that.
What coping methods have they given you here at the special needs office?
One idea that comes to mind was psychology we have to take, and it's the hardest course you have to take for EC, in my opinion, and I was very fearful of it. So there was two aspects. It was essay writing and tests, and I never remember passing tests. So, of course, you didn't have any belief in yourself to pass these tests. So I found out that I didn't know how to study for tests, and I didn't know how to write the essays. So Isabel sat down and showed us, instead of spending 8 hours an evening on this studying, how to spend 1 hour. And ended up getting A+ in psychology. I think in all aspects, that's what the special needs has done for me, taught me how to do things where nobody else has spent the time with me.
I think the older student sometimes carries more emotional baggage with them, more frustration, more negative self-image than the student who's had help all the way through high school, because these people have struggled for years and not knowing why they struggled. And they're really looking for answers. They're really wanting to make a change in their lives. And for them, it's a whole opening of a whole new world for them.
You want to switch with her? You want to switch brushes? Okay, let's switch.
Coming up next, the people who really count.
Now you divide this by 9 because since it's not divisible by
Getting teachers to accommodate learning disabled students is the biggest challenge facing the Special Needs Office, which holds sensitivity training sessions for teachers. Isabel Schessel says the most common reaction of some teachers when they meet a learning disabled person for the first time is fear.
Fear of the unknown, fear of the not obvious, because so many of the learning disabilities of the students here are not initially obvious. There are some of our students whose difficulties, let's say, are in the area of language, and that becomes very quickly apparent to a teacher if a student is unable to communicate their ideas in a classroom. But there are others that it isn't obvious and they don't know how to deal with it. For example, the student who participates in class, asks, intelligent questions in class, and comes in and sits down for the first test and fails abominably.
This is Bruce Hunter right here. He's my English teacher, and a very good one, I may add. He really gave me the idea of...
It was quite a bit. Spent during class time, a lot of class time with me trying to get me to understand things.
Catherine was able to focus really well on the job at hand. When she came into math class, she was prepared to do math. She wasn't wool gathering, she wasn't doing other things. She concentrated on math. And she did her homework because I could tell when she came in and discussed the problem with me, it was obvious that she'd gone over it. And that makes it much, much easier for the teacher.
This is Mr. Mike O'Neill. He was my accounting teacher last semester. He was one of the better teachers I had. He helped me out a great deal. He was there for extra help, for remedial help, helped out getting the work done. He prepared us much better for the test and for the final, and he was a very good help.
I don't think I did anything special to help Michael. It's just the way that I taught the course. I feel that if I'm delivering a topic, it's very important that the students understand it, and I didn't put any restrictions on them with respect to the time that assignments had to be done. I would like them to do it within a week, but if they could not do it within a week, I gave them additional time. The important part about assignments was that they were done and they were done correctly.
This is Connie Lindrath, and she's a teacher that sees me in the classroom in my work with children. She's done an art program with me, and also she's worked with me in 4 different classes, so she's one teacher that has spent a lot of time with me. What she was very good at was narrowing exactly what she wanted, because I had a zillion ideas coming out of my head, and Connie always brought me down. I want this, this, and this. Nothing else, just this.
Because she has trouble writing, Judy Finmore had friends write her first essays. She used a tape recorder and a camera to do research. It is a good example of a school accommodating a student's needs. The first time she wrote her own essay, she got an A.
The A grade was not for effort, it was because you had met the criteria for an A, which is to state clearly and objectively what this child could do. So the pictures were a nice addition, but I think that the pictures probably helped Judy to organize her thoughts, and that it worked well for her.
Next, an answer for the naysayers. Learning disabled students represent the largest disability group at Seneca, and the population is growing. The same is said to be true at other post-secondary institutions across Canada, but the skepticism persists.
They don't have LD. I don't see them struggling through classes and trying to understand this when you really can't and you're really working hard, and you see these guys come up to you, well, you're using it as a thing to get away from it all, or you're using it for extra help or something like that. I just say, what do you know, really?
And that's our special report on learning disability. The interviewer was Lisa Erst. If you want to know more about the subject, contact your local chapter of the Learning Disabilities Association of Canada. The association provides books and videos on dyslexia and other less well-known but equally important learning disabilities. Books include several relating to college students. The Learning Disabilities Association of Canada also has a newsletter called The National. For more information, you can reach the association by calling 416-487-4106. That's 416-487-4106. I'm Joe Coughlin. See you again next week. If you'd like to write to us, our address is the Disability Network, CBC TV, Box 500, Station A, Toronto, M5W1E6. That's the Disability Network, CBC TV, Box 500, Station A, Toronto, M5W1E6. Or you can fax us at area code 416-975-5636.